What's up, guys? Today I'm going to do a question and answer video, and I asked people on Instagram and some of my friends what questions that I like to ask me as a trans guy, and I have my questions on my computer here, so if I keep looking over this way, it's because my laptop's there and I don't know, yeah. Um, but just before we start, the answers that I give are personal to me. I can't speak for everybody in the transgender community because I'm only one person in many, 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 many thousands of people. So, question number one: what does it feel like to be transgender? Well, for me, it is a massive uncomfortableness in my body, and when I look in the mirror, what I see in the mirror is not what I feel inside. And as much as I change it myself without medical transition as well, I will never be happy with what I see in the mirror. To kind of put it in a way that you might understand, it's like wearing a mask, and constantly that mask is what people see of you, but that mask is someone that's completely different, and you can't take the mask off and the whole world just sees the mask, and behind the mask you're desperate to try and get that person behind to be seen. That's what it constantly feels like, and that's like what it's like to be misgendered. You just are seen as something completely different to who you are, and that is very tough. Okay, so I'm going to link a few of these next questions together because they all sort of relate to each other. So 2, 3 and 4. So there's question 2 is, how did you first know you were trans? 3 is, did you have a defining moment or was it gradual? And 4 is, what kind of process have you been through to find out more about yourself? So I'm linking these together because they all kind of flow. So I first knew that I was transgender when I was 15, maybe 14, but more 15. But it was such a gradual process that I can't really put a defining moment on it. I started discovering about different gender identities, and at 15 I thought that I was gender fluid because I'd found that term on the internet, and that's what seemed to fit me at the time. So I went through a process of being gender fluid, then I went through where I thought I was bigender, and then I spent hardly any days as a girl and a lot of days as a boy, and more and more boy days happened and less girl days happened, and so I started to look into it more and discovered that I was a trans guy. I didn't really come to that conclusion until I was about 17. So that was quite a long period for me of discovering who I was. But it's nowhere near as long as other people. People don't discover their trans until they're a lot older, and some people discover their trans from being very, very little. For me, I've always just been a tomboy, and it kind of I just blended in, really. So what kind of process have I been through? I kind of said the process, but without the internet, without social media, I would have no idea who I was. I would not be able to put an identity on how I felt, and I'd still be feeling very trapped and very miserable as I was when I was 14. Okay, so question number 5. What is the most difficult thing for me about being trans? There is a lot of things that are massively difficult. The first thing I would say is probably the most difficult thing for me is constantly being misgendered. This happens 99% of the time by people who don't know me. I'm always seen as a girl because I'm nearly 20, I'm 20 in a couple of weeks, and I look like a 14-year-old boy or a 20-year-old female. That if people know my age, they automatically think that I'm female, and I'm constantly misgendered, and it's very difficult for me to deal with that. Another thing that's very difficult is dysphoria. If you don't know what dysphoria is, it is where you have a really, really strong sense of dislike and uncomfortableness and hatred towards certain areas of you. For me, my dysphoria is in my voice, my chest, my height, and they're things that I can't change very well, very easily. I combine to stop my chest being so prominent, but my height I can do nothing about, and my voice I can do nothing about until I'm on hormone treatment. So that is also really difficult. And I think another thing is people don't understand what it's like to be trans, don't understand trans people or our issues in society, and people need to be more knowledgeable about that to help us as trans people live a normal life around everyone else. Okay, so question number 6. What's the best way to support someone who is transgender? There are lots of ways you can help, and they may seem really small, but they make such a huge difference. The first way is to respect that person's name and pronouns. The best thing with being trans is someone saying your name and your pronouns correctly and gendering you correctly, because it just is such a relief. You have so many people that say the wrong thing all the time, and someone there just to reassure you and just to say your correct pronouns is just the best thing. Another thing would probably be if they're feeling awkward about a situation. So for me, it took me a while to use male bathrooms, and I had to have someone with me to go to the bathroom with. And that sounds really weird, but it's a lot easier as a trans person to go to the bathroom with someone else because it feels a lot safer. So if you're a trans ally and you've got a trans friend, offer to go to the bathroom with them so they don't feel uncomfortable, they feel safer, because that can be a really difficult thing. Trying to think if there's anything else. Just being really supportive of whatever they choose to do to transition. Not everyone is going to follow the same route with their transition. Some people want surgery, some people won't want surgery, some people want hormones, some people won't want hormones. And there's such a huge spectrum of being trans. It's not just one thing or another, there's just a spectrum. And so everyone chooses something different and has their own path to make themselves feel comfortable in their bodies, and just respecting that and supporting that person through all of their different challenges that they come up with, because let's face it, it's difficult. Okay, so the last question is something I don't really know that much about. It says, how easy or difficult is it to access HRT? So HRT is hormone replacement therapy. So for someone like me, the HRT I would get would be testosterone, because that is the male hormone that I would be taking to put in my body and make me more masculine. For trans women, that would be estrogen. And if you're within the spectrum, you would choose which one would be the hormone that is correct for your body and your identity. So there's 2 different paths that you can go to get HRT. One of them is private, which I know absolutely nothing about, and one of them is NHS, and I'm on the NHS route, and that has been a process of waiting 2 years to be seen, and I'm still not seen yet. I've been on the waiting list for 2 years, and my appointment is going to be around June time. So when I get my appointment, there is still a long process from getting that appointment to having many appointments before I get on testosterone, and it isn't easy to get to that point. It takes a lot of talking to people, explaining your life story, explaining how you feel, and knowing that it's the right decision for you, because let's face it, it's a huge decision that you have to take. But for me, I feel that is a decision that I need to take, that is a path I need to go down to get testosterone. So it is, I wouldn't say it's easy, it's a very long wait and it's a very frustrating wait, but it will happen, and everyone will get to the point where they'll get it eventually if it is suitable for them. There are obviously factors meaning that people can't, but a lot of people get access to the treatment that they want to feel more comfortable within themselves. Okay, so there are all the questions that I have, and this video has gone on for a very long time. I'm very sorry, but I hope they have been helpful, and I will see you guys very soon. Goodbye.